Is UK the right destination? Will they find a job here? So do you think you will get a full-time job here in the UK?
Yes.
Yes.
I have no idea.
No idea?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yes, you can?
Yes.
Today with Dhruv, that's the theme that we are going to uncover.
Whether in the UK or in India, you want to hire the brightest and the best. If you realize, oh, this is a student only with a degree, but they've not taken any skill set, will you give them a job?
We want to focus right now on the Indian students. Even if they have to go back to India.
Not happening. In 3 years, if you think you're going to recover all that cost, if that's the mindset, don't come. Not here to make people happy, just
Yes,
FYI.
yes.
We're here to say the truth because no one says the truth.
The blunt
Yeah.
as raw.
Because that's what will help the student.
But a lot of students who are coming are not fully prepared.
80 to 90% are not prepared.
And hence that's kind of creating a lot of noise.
A student should invest a minimum of 1 to 2 hours on a daily basis on activities relating to job search. 1 hour a day. Forget 2. 1 hour a day. Do it consistently for 6 months, you'll get a job.
Is it worth investing in a high cost university?
It depends on the student.
So most important is do not put yourself
And
in
your
that-
family.
and your family in that pressure that is going to make you do all the wrong things.
Because it doesn't matter whether you go to BPP or go to Bristol, you will do the wrong thing.
Now you have all this job data, right? Which domains hottest?
Data
for-
science, AI, ML, hottest.
We've covered a lot of spectrum of questions around, you know, what is working for the students, what is not working, the reasons behind it, London and outside, which kind of job opportunities. You've spoken about some of the few most popular job domains that we talk about, and also how Student Circus has been helping the student community.
If you are looking to study abroad, then watch this full video and subscribe to our channel to stay updated.
So hello guys, good morning. This is Piyush, your study abroad coach, and today we are going to be meeting Dhruv, who's the co-founder of Student Circus. And Student Circus, guys, is a very interesting organization. It partners with a lot of UK universities and is expanding to other countries and is helping international students understand what job opportunities are there for them in UK and in more than 20 countries outside of UK. And they have thousands of job postings, internships, and they are a big force helping international students figure out their career and their future in these international destinations. So guys, today we are super excited to meet Dhruv. So looking forward to meeting you, Dhruv, very, very shortly. Sure.
Oh well, good to see you.
So you guys are in the city of
City University
building.
yeah.
A lot of companies around here.
Yes, so numerically they kind of say there are 40, 50 companies, but
Right. Not everybody sits
not
out.
everyone sits, not everyone comes in, but yeah, at least like I would say about 10 to 20 companies are quite frequent, if not every day, because again with hybrid, UK is all hybrid.
Right.
So we have this community space here.
Welcome everyone. Today I'm Piyush, your study abroad coach, and I've been traveling all over UK, and right now we are in London to meet fellow students and industry veterans like Dhruv, who are helping us international students to find a way towards making our future. So welcome guys, and welcome Dhruv.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us here.
A pleasure.
A quick introduction about Dhruv. Dhruv started a company called Student Circus. Student Circus is a great platform, and they work with 100 odd universities, about 100 odd universities as an official partner in, you know, and kind of training, supporting their international students in becoming job ready, in getting access to opportunities, not just full-time jobs, but also internships.
Yes.
And how do they skill themselves up and be prepared for the job market? So that's exactly the biggest problem today in UK, where students are struggling and wanting to understand, is UK the right destination for them? And will they find a job here or not? So guys, today with Dhruv, that's the theme that we are going to uncover. But first, Dhruv, tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you got to UK, and you know, how did the idea of Student Circus come about?
Okay, firstly, welcome to our offices. We're delighted to have you an admit card here. You know, support students who ever watch this video. So that's great. But basically, a little bit about myself. So I come originally from Bombay, born and brought up in Bombay. Studied my undergrad in Bombay, and then I came for my master's in 2014 to the University of Bristol to do my master's in management.
Right.
And
so you came to UK in 2014 when there was no PSW.
Absolutely correct. So the first PSW ended in, I think, 2012, if I'm not sure. And when I came in, there was only 4 months after the end of your course and between the end of your visa to find a job, switch your visa, or find another visa to live and work in the UK. So it was a different world, a different time. I think a brilliant time, personally speaking, because all my friends who were here in class, we had majority Chinese students. A lot of them are my friends. We had a large number of Indian students who are my very close friends currently as well, students from Turkey, etc. as well. But the mindset was, we're coming for academics. We already knew there was no post-study work visa.
Right.
That was a given. It was not missold to us or anything like
Right.
that. But we already knew there's no post-study work visa. So getting a job in the UK is going to be difficult. And I think having conditioned your mind with that, you are coming for your academics.
Right.
You're going to classes, you're attending classes, you're getting a good grade, you're making the most of the professional services, and your priority is, okay, if I've paid X amount of money to my university, I am getting a degree in return. I'm not getting a job in return,
yes.
which I think has changed a lot. So, but having said that, a lot of us were looking for jobs, including myself. I was lucky.
What's your family background back
So I come from a family business background. My granddad had his own family business. My dad started his own family business. I did have a choice to join the family business, but I didn't want to. That was very clear and early on. And so it was just like, you have to figure your way
So
out.
entrepreneurship is like in your genes, in your
Yes,
blood.
absolutely, absolutely. And I make no bones about it. I am blessed to come from that background because that gives you a different way of thinking.
Yes.
I 100% agree. When I talk to friends who don't come up from a family business background, and when you discuss things, it's a different mindset. I'm not saying what is right and what is wrong, but that just gives you a different mindset, and maybe I would say an advantage as well of coming from a family background of business. So yeah, got a job, was applying for jobs, went through a lot of jobs with certain companies, and the problem was that even if they liked you, when it came to visas, they didn't want to sponsor you, etc. And even at that time, right now, you have more than 100,000 companies who have a valid visa sponsorship license. At that time, there were 20,000 companies. 10, 15, 20,000. There were hardly any companies because the new rules came in 2012. I finished in 2015. So people were just trying to kind of figure out what's happening. And, immigration was not that big.
Right.
The total number of international students that came in across the UK universities were only 300,000.
Right.
This year, we expect 700,000.
Right.
So the numbers were very small, and especially most students were from China. Numbers from India were like 20,000.
Right.
Now they're like 200,000. It was a different world, if I'll be honest.
Less competition, but also lesser opportunities.
Much lesser, because no one knew about visas, no one knew anything about that. The world hadn't grown that much, if you would say. Also, lesser competition, but high quality competition.
Right.
Everyone's coming for the academia. Everyone's focused on that. No one's kind of doing. If I stick my neck out and say, when it comes to part-time jobs, in my class, most students didn't do a part-time job. I would say 90% did not do a part-time job. Everyone was only focused on, let's go to the library, let's study, let's get a good grade, let's do group projects, let's really do extremely well when it comes to academics and other things like, your society.
This is a very interesting point that you're mentioning, that, there are now many more students, but a lot of students who are coming are not fully prepared for the academics here.
Not at all.
And
I would say 80% are not prepared. 80 to 90% are not prepared.
And hence that's kind of creating a lot of noise around, and even the ones who are actually well qualified, well prepared, have some experience back in India as well, get lost in that whole commotion, which I've been kind of uncovering while I'm talking to a lot of the students that I speak to.
Let me just clear out the kind of confusion out here, right? I'm suggesting we're mainly talking of Indian students. Look, I'm an Indian student, so I'll tell you that openly. The biggest problem, we love to be spoon-fed. From the time we are born in India, everyone's spoon-feeding us.
Yeah.
Our parents, house helps. When you go to university, when we go to school, we have tuitions from the first, second, third grade now. We are being spoon-fed. We don't tell our kids that you go to school, you study, and you go and give exam. You tell our kids when you're in the first, fifth standard, you go to school, you come back, someone's going to spoon-feed you with tuitions, and then you give exams. So the mindset has been conditioned from the time we are born to be spoon-fed. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I'm choosing to study abroad as well, I'm being spoon-fed by my agents, right? SOPs being written, things are being told. I didn't even file for my visa. My agent did that. And I'm not saying that's correct or wrong. Forget that. But if you're not giving me a chance to do it myself, how am I going to even make a mistake and learn from that mistake, right? I'm not even putting in the hard work. And that's really hitting a lot, most international students here. Because they feel that out here when they come in, they're going to be spoon-fed.
Right.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Irrespective of which university you go to. Point number one. Point number two, I think the entitlement. I'm paying you money, so I get a job in return. Correction, I'm paying you money, I get a degree in return, not a job. If you are being missold on the fact that, oh, you're paying money, you'll get a job, change your agent, change your university.
Guys, I think
doesn't work that way.
I will again repeat that fact. If somebody is giving you a promise that guaranteed hai, oh, even degree bhi guaranteed nahi hai.
No.
You know, even because if you don't perform academically in this university, even degree is not guaranteed.
Absolutely.
So nobody can, once you are taken that flight,
absolutely,
you need to put in the hard work.
And any agent telling you that job to easy hai, change them today. Change them today. It's incorrect. It's false.
It's false.
There's nothing easy. It's all tough, you know, and it's not just tough for international, it's tough for locals as well.
Right.
Locals also struggling. I don't know if you've read the BBC report which came out last week. There's a student who's a British student who applied for 649 jobs to get the right job. So it's not easy for even locals. The competition's higher.
Yeah.
So basically, first, nothing's easy. If you think something's easy, don't come here. Don't spend your daddy's money or mommy's money. Don't do that. Put it in FD, put in mutual fund, make your money chill out in life. But it's going to put in it's all about hard work, right? It's about your academics, learning and building and then growing from there. That's point number one. Also, the other thing I feel is a lot of students who are coming in here experienced, having 1 year or 2 years of work experience, so even 3-4 years of work experience back home. Two things. 1 or 2 years of work, it's good. I'm not saying it's bad, but it might not translate in the same number of experience out here in the UK. Point number one. Point number two, work experience in India is very different to work experience in the UK. Point number three, the way job search works in India is very different to the UK. So just because you think you've been successful there doesn't mean you'll be successful here. And also it's the mindset, right? Because in India we have campus placements.
Right.
Out here, you do not have campus placements. The term placement has a different meaning.
Right.
Do you know that? The term placement having a different meaning in the UK to India. So in India, what is a campus placement? When companies come to campus, interview students on campus towards the end of the degree and give them a full-time graduate role to start before they finish their graduation. You'll have the offer, you go and finish your exam, then you get a job and you start, right? In the UK, the term placement actually means a full-time, long-term internship that you need to do as a part of your course. Only if you have a placement as a part of your course. When companies come on campus in the UK, they do not recruit you on campus. So you don't have to print out your CVs and go. They only come for information guidance purposes.
So of course, I think the ecosystem is very different from a job point of view.
Exactly.
Before we dive deeper into that part, tell me a little bit, when you graduated, you completed in 2015. Did you do a job here?
No, I didn't get one. That's why we started Student Circus. So, but I was applying for jobs and, getting through to them. But when it came to visas, they didn't want to sponsor. And I didn't have a post-study work visa, so I couldn't work. So I needed sponsorship to continue living in the UK, right? And that's when the frustration kind of built up of getting a job, but not getting a visa, so you can't work, etc. And Tripti was my friend, who's my co-founder, and she studied at CAS, which is now Bayes Business School. She was doing an internship with a highly funded startup in central London, and they wanted to keep her on, but she faced another problem. They didn't have the license to sponsor her and her visa was running out. So we were two peas in the pod. I wasn't getting a job because of a visa issue. She got an internship, but they couldn't convert it into a job because they didn't have the license and get the process. The time wasn't enough, the visa. So we both were, in one sense, frustrated with everything in life. When you worked hard, spent a lot of money, and done everything that you've been told to do, but yet you don't get it. That frustration builds up. And that's when the idea for Student Circus came up. It was literally started in our dorm room, where can you build something for international students that takes care of visa issues when it comes to jobs. And that's how Student Circus came out.
How did you find the name Student Circus?
It was a random thing. So we start so initially the work visa was called the Tier 2 work visa. So we bought this domain called tier2jobs.co.uk or something. And that would just limit us too much because we would only be a job search platform. So we said, let's be a little bit different. And I was on a bus in London and something came up and, some word which led to some letter, which led to something. And I said, circus.
Yeah.
Why? Because life is a circus for an international student, right? You're juggling so many different things at one time. So, and job search is one of the most important of them. So can we say Student Circus? That being said, the way it works is we just don't want to do job search we're doing it right now in employability, but we want to do much more, right? We started off with the job
There's more
platforms.
aspects of the life that you need to juggle.
Exactly. So, going forward, we might be like Admit Card, helping students studying abroad.
Right.
Going forward, we might have a, finance angle to it. Going forward, we might be into accommodations. We don't know.
Right.
But if you would limit ourselves with the name, we didn't want to do that. We said, let's have something, and we wanted to have student because it's student
Students,
circus.
yes.
So that's how Student Circus as a name
That's
came out.
fantastic. And you ended up starting Student Circus so that you could, have a venture, solve this problem that you were facing yourself.
Yeah.
And also this gives you an opportunity to stay in the UK.
So that's the funny part. So as a student, I think even currently, even that time for sure, but even right now, but I'm not a legal expert, so I'm just telling you what I think. I might be wrong. You're not allowed to start a business on a student visa. You're not allowed to do it.
Right.
Now, I think students have the post-study work visa options where they can be self-employed. But earlier, we didn't have the post-study work visa, so you couldn't start a business. So the government had a visa route called the entrepreneur visa.
Right.
The entrepreneur visa there were two levels, £50,000 investment and £200,000 investment. Being a student, 50,000 and 200,000, 50 lakhs and 2 crores is a lot of money. You don't have that kind of cash. But the government included a route called the graduate entrepreneur visa, where every university that was, a certain level or signed up to the government had the option of sponsoring, 10 to 20 international students with a viable, credible business idea that could make an impact in the real world. They could give sponsorship to them on the graduate entrepreneur visa.
Right.
So that's how Tripti and I got the graduate entrepreneur visa from the University of Bristol to start Student Circus.
Right.
So it was a process. If you have 2 minutes, I'll tell you this. So when the idea for Student Circus came up, at the University of Bristol, something very nice was that they had this kind of a grouping of certain academics who were a part of this support group for international students, because as an international student, you can get lonely, you can have mental health issues, you cannot adjust. So there's so many things that bother you, right? So Bristol University is where I studied, and I really love them. So if they're watching, remember to renew my contract. So they're really good because they had this kind of grouping where academics can support and just talk to you and listen to you, right? So one of the academic who was on the group was my accounts professor, Claire. She knew me and I just rocked up to her office one day and I said, I have an idea. I didn't know who to share it with, but I wanted to share it with someone who can be a bouncing board. What do you think about it? And it was literally like small desk. She was sitting behind the desk and I was just standing. I didn't even sit and I just went up. It was in the School of Economics, Finance and Management, EFM, which is now called the Business School at Bristol. And then I just spoke to her. It was at Priory Road, I remember. And I said, this is the idea of Student Circus and giving international student jobs. And she's like, don't sit, keep standing. And I said, why? Let me call Stuart Johnson, who's the director of careers, because this is a problem I face every day. International students are coming to me and struggling when it comes to jobs and it's affecting their mental health, etc. So I said, fine. And she called him. He was out of office. She emailed him. She actually helped me set up a meeting with Stuart Johnson, who's currently still the director of careers at Bristol. I got a meeting with Stuart and Stuart was like, amazing, great idea, great concept, but you're going to require an entrepreneur visa for this. Now, I didn't know there's something called the graduate entrepreneur at that time. Did a Google search and saw that there's the entrepreneur visa, pay £200,000 and get it. Right. So I actually went back to Stuart and said, look, if I had 200,000, I wouldn't have this problem. Whatever money I had or I could take from my parents, it's been invested in my education, which is a large sum. I just don't want to kind of take a punt on £200,000, not that I have any. So he's like, no, we have something called the graduate entrepreneur visa, which if we think it's a credible business idea, we can sponsor you. And that's the whole process started. And we got sponsored by the university to start Student Circus.
Wow. That's, I think, a fantastic story as well, kind of a way to show that how, international students are persevering, figuring out different ways and opportunities to make it work out for themselves. Absolutely. And I think it was a great way for, Student Circus itself to be born. Absolutely. Out of the real pain of you and Tripti.
Absolutely.
And figuring your way out.
Absolutely.
Into, helping lot many more students. So thanks for sharing your story, Dhruv. Pleasure. Now, I'm going to be kind of bombarding you with certain really tough questions, which may not have a happy answer.
Not here to make people happy, just
yes,
FYI.
Yes.
We're here to say the truth because no one says the truth.
The blatant, as raw
Absolutely.
As can be.
Because that's what will help the student at the end of the day.
And I think
if you're not honest, it's doing you a disservice.
Opportunity is today to understand from somebody who's been working with thousands of students, who's been getting feedback from 100-odd universities, what their students are struggling with and how to solve it. What are the challenges and how are those challenges solvable? What is your take on the UK job market? What is the top message first of all? Should international students who want jobs, should they still come to UK or not?
I would say yes. I'll tell you why. There are a couple of practical reasons why. Every job market across the world is in shambles right now.
That is very true. Even
in India, right? The job market is in shambles across the world. Plus, visa policies are also changing very rapidly. We know what's happening in the US with the Trump administration. Canada is flip-flopping, and we know what the status of international students in Canada is. It's a mess.
Right.
Australia is, the job market would be okay, but again, visa situation is, they're capping it and stuff like that. Realistically, apart from that, which English-speaking large country is available? It's only the UK in one sense, which can accommodate so many students. The economy is bigger, etc. So absolutely. Second reason why you should come and study here, you genuinely have brilliant universities. A lot of the universities here are really good if you focus on the academic aspect. Third, London is a melting pot. You've been here for a couple of weeks now. I've stayed here for 11 years. And I can tell you, London is a melting pot. The UK is a melting pot. You have people from different parts of the world coming and living here. The exposure to different cultures, world cultures is amazing. Fourth, it is one of the largest financial centers and business centers across the world. Canary Wharf, City of London, etc. The Midlands is where you have Rolls-Royce, JLR, etc. You have a lot of companies here. Startup culture is also very good, etc. So these are the 4 solid reasons why an international student should choose to come and study here. That exposure is unparalleled. And one of the things I will say is, when you put in money for your education, you're not just putting in money for the degree, you're putting in money for this exposure as a whole to get you mature in one sense, especially for an Indian or South Asian student who's been used to being spoon-fed their life.
So you are saying that of course there are advantages.
100%.
Right? But a lot of the students I speak to, they come from very middle class families who would be taking an education loan. So they really want to have, of course, nobody can guarantee, and that would be false, but a higher probability of being able to at least repay back their loans, recover their total cost of education, which is tuition plus living, which with a post-study work permit, 2 years, or now it might become 1.5 years. Either way, in that 2.5 periods of working, or 3 years working part-time and then full-time, they should be able to recover their cost. Because then, even if they have to go back to India,
Sorry to cut you off. Not happening. In 3 years, if you think you're going to recover all that cost, not happening. If that's the mindset, don't come. Because it just doesn't add up. I'll give you the mathematics to kind of support what I'm trying to say, right? Even if you're on a post-study work, 40 hours working week, correct? Even if you're getting a minimum wage, which is $12 an hour, 12.21 is, or 23 is the exact. You multiply that by 40 and you multiply that by 4 just for, you will be sick, you will be unwell, you will want to travel, etc. You're basically making about £500 a week. Your 4 weeks, you're making £2,000. If you reduce your taxation, if you do all of those kind of pointers, it is, you're going to be saving about $1,500, $1,800 in a month, right? Now, depending on where you're staying, say if it's $1,500, because you're going to be sick and, you will have all those issues as well. You will have $1,500 as your revenue, as your salary,
net
whatever.
Money coming
your
in.
Net money is between $1,200 to $1,500 if you're maximizing your work time, right? Having said that, when you live in London, it is super expensive. When you live in a large number of cities, it is expensive. Obviously, it depends on areas. If you're sharing your house, if you're sharing your room, if you're sharing multiple bathrooms, all that kind of stuff, depending on your living standard as well. But traveling, eating, all of those things also add to your cost. Your phone bills, all of that.
So when I talk to students who are either living outside, on the real outskirts of London or in other cities, the average amount that I've heard from them is between 750 to 1,000 pounds is what they end up spending on a monthly basis.
Correct. But that will increase if they end up going out more, because when you're earning, you also don't want to work in your job 24/7. You want to go out, on a weekend, you'll take a trip to London, you'll spend a night in London, you want to see different things, etc. So when you add that up, I would say always budget extra. So you'll end up spending, say, $1,200 a month. Your income will be anywhere between 12 to 1,500, give or take, right? So the basic saving, even if it's £300 or £400 a month, you multiply that by 4 by 12 months, it's like what, 6 lakh rupees a year,
Right.
give or take. Now, if you want to take a flight to India and you do all of those things, your income has gone down, your expense has gone up, etc. So
basically, even if you really push,
if you really push, you're saving 5-6K maximum to maximum in a year.
then maybe not fully, but like partially you'd be able to recover. But then just that thought is not the right way
It's
to
not
think
the right
about
way
it.
to do it. I'll be very honest. I'll tell you why. Other reason why is, 20 hours a week is what you're legally allowed to work during term time in the UK whilst you're studying. Most universities will tell you that, realistically, over 15 hours, it's very difficult to do if you're focusing on your academia.
Right. So students typically do like 16 hours, 2 shifts of 8 hours.
Exactly. Or anywhere from 12 to 16 or 10 to 16 is normal. Above that, it becomes too much because you can't focus on it. If you're doing above that, then there's a very low focus of yours on your academics because it's tough, right? Traveling to work takes an hour as well, right? So basically, you just multiply that because now we're talking of savings of £5,000 if you're working 40 hours a week. If you're doing 16 hours a week, there's no saving.
There's no saving.
There is
So basically,
putting in money, technically. Your kharcha of your eating and living would be taken care of, but your tuition would not be taken care of. Even your living kharcha would not be fully taken care of, etc. So yes, the part-time jobs should be taken as a supplementary income. Yes, say for example, over 2 years you work and, part-time you work whilst you're studying. It takes out through your savings, etc. Your living expenses whilst you're studying takes out. You'll still have to pay your tuition fee.
so you're saying that even with like 1 year of study and 2 years of work permit, it's going to be tough to
recover your cost in those 3 years, yeah.
You can get a part of it, maybe close to 10 to 15,000 pounds, but not your entire cost.
Absolutely.
And I think that's also the reason why a lot of students end up choosing more lower cost universities where cost of tuition is actually maybe 15,000 pounds or lower, because they want to ensure
that
they don't take back a financial burden once they complete. But so we understand it's not that financially lucrative. So just don't come that, okay, I will come, do some random odd job, save some lot of money and go back to India. That's not happening, guys, right? So
I agree with you there, but I'll disagree on the financially lucrative comment, and I'll tell you why. You're not coming here to earn money. You're coming here to get a degree and the exposure. That is why you're coming here. That is
short-term benefits are
short-term
more.
benefits, your maturity, all of that kind of stuff. If you're doing everything right, is going to be insane, right? If someone's telling you that you're going to make your money in 3, 4 or even 5 years is not correct, but that doesn't even take place in India. You do an MBA and it doesn't happen anywhere in the world. So if someone is trying to sell you a study abroad dream by telling you by 3 years you'll pay it off, please tell them to contact us. We'll try and see what they're on because it's not true. It doesn't work that way.
So I think that gives a lot of clarity to us. And now I want to understand from you. You interact with so many international students. We want to focus right now on the Indian students. What do you feel are like the top reasons why Indian students are struggling?
So guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
What do you feel are like the top reasons why Indian students are struggling?
Mindset, expectation. Simple. The thing that we discussed previously about, payback and ROI, etc. It's a very Indian term. It's a very Indian term, which is not wrong. But education is not an investment which will give you instant returns. It is something that will give you returns over your lifetime. You don't just get an MBA for 1 or 2 years. You get an MBA for life. You don't say you're a CA for only 2 years.
So you're saying that it's a short-term mindset, which is the problem.
It's a short-term mindset and expectation, of saying, oh, I'll make the money. I'll make it back. I'll tell you honestly, a lot of students who I know, a lot of them kind of do cash in hand, yeah. And I'm just like, are you nuts? That's crazy. I try to distance myself from them. I don't want to know your name. Yeah, cash in hand. They're doing crazy jobs. They're not going to classes just to make the money back. That is a problem. That's going to be a short-term plan. ठीक है, चलो, you recover your money in 3 years. After that, what?
Exactly, that's what I want to kind of go a bit deeper into. Like when we say short-term mindset, that mindset translates into certain actions. So like some of the actions that you mentioned, they don't attend classes.
Don't focus on academics.
They don't focus on
pay people to do assignments. This is the latest I've heard, and I'm just like, what is going on?
Paying people to do assignments, working overtime illegally on cash, whereby again further reducing their focus on building skills and academics. So what we are saying is that all of this, if you are doing under the pressure because, okay, I need to earn this money back because I don't know how will I pay for the rest of my days here in UK. It is good in that moment because you will be able to survive. But what happens after that? Nobody is to be blamed that you didn't get a job.
You won't have the skill set. You won't learn. So your degree is a waste. You've paid that 15,000 to a university
just to get a visa and
get a visa and you're not learning anything. UK. How are you going to get a graduate job? Now, if someone comes to interview in my company at Student Circus, for example, we will ask them about their skill set, what they know, what they don't know, what they've studied. We'll question them, etc. It's very common. I mean, you will do that in Mecca, right? Whether in the UK or in India, you want to hire the brightest and the best. The student has to showcase they have the skills to be counted as one of those. If they don't have the skills, if you realize, oh, this is a student only with a degree, but they've not taken any skill set, will you give them a job?
No, absolutely. And I think if you are not focusing on academics, if you are not building your skills, if you're not aware of what you really want to do and you're trying to just live by the day, there is no future.
Anywhere in
longer
the world.
term,
anywhere
in the world.
Absolutely.
But I have a lot of students and I speak to them and I get messages from them, I get comments from them where they say that, they did everything right. They went to the classes, they did the assignments, they scored well, they did their projects, yet after graduation, they are struggling and they don't have a job.
Correct.
I'm sure you would know also a large cohort of students who are genuinely putting in the effort, and they are the ones who pain me a lot, because
100%.
It kind of we want to understand what should they be doing. What do you think that set of students is not doing? They did everything right by the book, but there must be something that is missing.
So I'll give you a small example. So I spoke to a student from India who had done her undergrad, got a job, but when it came to visas, the job was pulled, okay? Finishing up her graduation this year from one of a very good university. I spoke to that student and trust me, when we talk to, because we talk to so many students, we realize, what, if someone's bluffing or if someone's actually done the hard work. That student, I could feel that if not now, 6 months or 1 year down the line, or even in the long term, the student's future is very bright. And I'll tell you why. I'm not just saying this because I have to say it. I'm saying this because the student used the time in the undergrad to make connections with the right professional services. How do I know that? The head of careers at one university asked me if I could have a chat with that student. Why? We both come from India. And because, she faced this visa issue and stuff like, oh, can you do, because I know them, can you do a favor? Can you just have a chat? Because it's frustrating for the student. Can you just see what you can support with? Normally, no one would do that. But because maybe the relation is so good with the professional services that they could reach out to a supplier of theirs, which is Student Circus, and ask them for a chat. Tick box. They've used the professional services, career services correctly. Second, the student got a job. That means they've cracked the interview, CV is good, etc.
Right.
So it's just a matter of time. Third, made the most of extracurricular activities. Chair of the societies and this thing, did internships, etc. English was very strong, did the right things, didn't focus on only the part-time jobs and all that kind of stuff, even though has that on their CV. So the whole point is that there will be factors that will affect your job search. Visa rules, someone's better than you in the whole activities when you're going through job search, etc. That's not in your control. Control what is controllable.
Right.
What is controllable is by doing all these things. The second point I'll try to make is a lot of students think that they did the right thing, but sometimes they didn't. I'm telling you, a lot of universities struggling nowadays because a lot of students are not coming for classes. They're not coming to talks. They'll have 100 people signed up and 50 will come to talks, for example. So the rest 50, why are they not coming? A lot of them will say, oh, we went to one talk. If you say you've done everything right, that means you have to go to all talks. You can't just go to one talk. So my point
when you say talks, these are like companies coming and
companies coming, speakers coming, experts coming, career services running talks, etc. There's so many activities that take place. The problem is that students are not coming to these activities. And these are the same students at the end of the day coming, a lot of them saying, oh, I didn't get a job. But if you didn't come at that time when you had to come, I'll give you a small aspect. Master students coming for a September intake, a lot of them don't get a job and they'll come back to you and say, oh, I came for talks. When you look at that sheet, they came for talks starting March. They should have come for talks starting September, the year when they landed in the country. Why? Because graduate recruitment cycle is from September till December. Right. If you miss out on that cycle, you're done. Now, March, May, if you come for talks, you have hardly any jobs left. What are you going to do? You've lost on the main number of roles. So you think you've done it correctly, but you may not have. So again, my point to the student is, it's fine. You can't get time back, but at least double down on that aspect. I have a simple logic. A student should invest a minimum of 1 to 2 hours on a daily basis on activities relating to job search. LinkedIn, go to career services, student circus, practice psychometric test. There's so many things you can do. Search for roles, apply for jobs. There's so many things. 1 hour a day. Forget 2. 1 hour a day. Do it consistently for 6 months, you'll get a job. But if you think I'll do 6 hours today and forget it for the next 5 months, I'm not going to be successful.
So I think one thing which you are mentioning is that Indian students need to be consistent. Indian students need to start early. So the moment you are coming in, and Indian students need to start utilizing the resources that are available to them, be it career services, be it student circus platform,
and
be
use
it
them
LinkedIn.
in the correct way. Sorry for coming in there. I'll give you another small example. I spoke to an Indian student, again through and through connection, and they said, can you have a chat? And I said, fine. The student graduated from a Russell Group Institute. I had a chat with the student. I was asking the student questions on what their preparation was, because the first thing is, I didn't get a job, help me get a job. And I said, I can't help you, I will guide you. I said, did you go to your career services? You know what they said? They really didn't use good words for the university career services. Now I work with them, so I know what they do. I'm not trying to defend the career services. Then I asked them, why are you giving a bad review? They didn't make my LinkedIn for me. And I was like, what? They're not supposed to make your LinkedIn for you. You are supposed to make your LinkedIn for yourself. They are supposed to guide you. Yeah. In fact, that university career services even has a photographer coming for LinkedIn headshots. Guess what? The student doesn't even know that. So my mindset is, if you're going to the career services and saying, make my LinkedIn for me, that is wrong, right? So that's why we're coming from, that expectation.
If you want to understand more about your study abroad plans, and if you are looking to study abroad in any country in the world, me and my team, we help you guys in understanding your profile, helping you with your university applications, and getting you your study visa for studying abroad. So guys, if you want to learn more about what you can study abroad, then send me a WhatsApp on this number below, and I will reply to you and connect with you. Also, this WhatsApp number is available in the description, so you can pick it out from there as well. Now, let's get back to our interview.
How things work.
I think expectation and entitlement, I think that's a strong message for all the students.
It's a strong message. And, coming to the ROI point, again, this might not be a very famous point, and I'll get a lot of brickback from a lot of people watching it, but I have a simple logic. Sit with your parents or guardians, whoever is funding your education, or even yourself, if you have enough of money in your bank, and ask yourself and your parents in a very honest conversation that, God forbid, I don't get a job and I come back and I have a loan of either 10, 20, 30, 50 lakhs, 1 crore, 2 crore, whatever it is. If you all paid back, if that is the parents paid back, will it affect their lifestyle? If it will negatively affect their lifestyle in a big way, do not take a loan, do not come. Because it is like a sword hanging on your head. You're constantly under pressure. Under pressure, you will make wrong decisions.
I think it is that pressure that makes you think short term.
Exactly.
And that kind of creates that negative cycle.
Exactly.
And stops you from doing everything that's right.
Exactly. I know people whose parents will take loans, but it will not negatively affect them in a massive way if they have to pay it back. Yeah, they might not take one foreign holiday or something like that. It's fine. If your parents are like, look, we'll pay it back. It's not going to affect us much. What's the worst? We will not buy a car for the next 3 years. It's okay. A new car for next year. Then yes, then take, talking of toddlers, we're talking of adult people to make a rational decision. So that's a rational decision. But if I know students, and I've had students coming to me after a talk at a university, running, heart palpitations high, sweating. And I was like, what happened? Calm down. Sir, I need a job. Why? My house is on mortgage. And that's when I was like, this isn't right. Don't put your family house on mortgage. Don't sell your family land. Don't put your mom's jewelry on mortgage. It's stupid, if I'll be extremely honest. It's your family silver. You don't put it on mortgage to come and study and take a punt on it. If you just buy a lottery ticket if you want for that. Because it doesn't work that way. You are not only putting your life in jeopardy, you're putting your family life in jeopardy. Don't do that. have a chat with them. If yes, if everyone has to take a step back, but it's not going to cost you any of these big things, then take a rash decision.
I think the best way to come out of that whole, lock is by making sure that you are not under that kind of pressure. If you are not, then of course, I think
Then
make
do it.
sure that you are, not putting yourself in that situation.
Absolutely.
Do you believe top universities, or we could say, for example, Russell Group, and then the non-Russell Group universities, do you see a difference in their outcomes for their students? Because Russell Group is very expensive.
Correct.
And then there is sort of like a mid-tier, which is between 18,000, close to 17 to 18,000
Millennium
pounds,
Group.
the Millennium Group. And then there is another third category, which could be as low as 12 to 14,000 pounds per annum. In this whole spectrum, does it change the opportunity that a student can get? Is it worth investing in a high-cost university?
Yes, I went to a Russell Group university, so sorry for that. I have a bias towards it. I wouldn't use the word quality, but yes, there is a reason why they are higher. But bottom line is, it depends on the student. I know of students who've not gone to Russell Group universities, extremely switched on and gotten amazing jobs. I know of students who've gone to Russell Group universities, not gotten jobs. So the university alone will not implement your job search ability. What will implement your job search success and ability is your own self. Now, it is the barrier, right? Like I would say, if you go to a university which is more of a higher cost, and again, there's nothing right or wrong with this, lower cost universities, you will find that the caliber also of a large number of students will be lesser than what a higher ranked university will have. Because the entry requirement is different. Simple.
Right.
Correct? Secondly, also you need to ask the university, what is the class breakup? From what I've seen, there are some universities which are like 100% Indian students.
Right.
Now, if I'm not saying right or wrong, but the one thing that I've spoken to a lot of students, they're like, okay, why did we come out of India? Because this is Indians only. You know, we wanted that exposure. And that's why a lot of universities are getting a lot of pushback from students saying, don't just recruit from one cohort, recruit other countries as well. I have noticed that when you go to a higher ranked university where fees are higher, where entry requirements are higher, they have a more equilibrium based breakup of different nationalities.
So basically what you're saying is that, go to a more diverse university
100%.
where there are lesser Indians. I always talk about that, and we're going to just put up a chart of universities and the number of Indian students they recruit, and you will see some of the really low ranking universities at the top of the chart. Some of the higher ranked universities, more expensive ones, kind of come at a much lower number of Indian students. But it's not that they are low in number of international students.
Correct.
So hence they are actually quite diverse.
Correct. So that's just my personal perspective. I'm not saying the universities which have a large number of Indian students is wrong. But what I would say is, if you're coming here, then it is upon the student. Okay, you might go to a university which has a high number of Indian students, but then try and interact with other societies, other people from different backgrounds. That is what you're paying for. In India, you would not have a chance to talk to someone who's from South Africa. You would not have a chance to talk to someone who's from Turkey. You would not have a chance to talk to someone who's from Nigeria. This is what you'll get in the UK. This is what you're paying for. Learn from their exposure. Learn different languages. Learn what they like to eat. I never used to eat sushi before I came to the UK. Now I love sushi. But the whole point is that, that exposure on how to talk, how to interact. That's what you're paying for. One of the simple things I'll end this point with is saying, after going back to India, when I go back to India now, I have this habit of waiting in line. And, if someone's pulling the door and let other people come in. And out here, when I pull the door and if I let the person behind me go in, they always say thank you and I say you're welcome. And in India, when I pull the door, people just walk in without saying anything. And I'm just like, what is wrong? And no one waits in line. And I'm just like, this is basic civics and courtesy. This is what you learn here. And this is what you can take back to make India an amazing country. Which it already is.
I think that's a whole part of traveling and exposure, that you learn from the best of everyone and then incorporate that in yourself. One important point also that you mentioned, Dhruv, was that if your skill set is the one that is primarily going to get you an opportunity. So if you're already highly skilled, then try to go for a top university where you will have other highly skilled people. Absolutely. But if you are low skilled and then you end up trying to go to a high paying university, high cost university, that can also become like a double whammy, because then if you're lower in skill, going to a high cost university, does that mean that becomes like a bad choice? So the good students should try to go to good universities, because I'll tell you, all universities will have similar criteria. So that same student could get into a Bristol, as well as same student can get, of course, if they can get into Bristol, they can also get into a BPP, right? And the cost would be like Bristol would be twice the cost of a BPP. And now, if I am not very, I'm like a fresher, I'm like still not very skilled, I'm like maybe wanting to go and study, let's say, cybersecurity, right? How should I make that choice? Should I say that, okay, I should go for a lower cost school because my probability of being successful is lower?
Again, it's very subjective. And again, I'm not recommending this through Student Circus. I'm recommending this through myself, being a former student here. Just for any clarity, if any university sees this podcast and says, oh shit, what are you saying? So just being very honest. So the one thing is there are multiple criteria you have to look at, right? Either Bristol can be good or even BPP can be good based on either. First, funding. Where are you getting the money from? You know, Bristol would say have a fee of say £25,000 hypothetically, and BPP would have 15. That £10,000, which is about 12 lakh rupees in INR, is a huge difference. Now, certain students, for them 12 lakhs will be the difference between going to the UK, getting a loan, or not going to the UK. You know, it's that big of a difference.
Right.
So look, if you have only X amount of money, then you beg, borrowing and stealing and then going to a highly ranked university and then having that stress makes no sense.
Makes no sense.
So it depends on the funding. And
so most important is do not put yourself
and your family
in that pressure that is going to make you do all the wrong things.
Because it doesn't matter whether you go to BPP or go to Bristol, you will do the wrong things. Correct.
So don't do it.
Absolutely.
Don't put yourself in that pressure.
Second, look at the course structure. Ask questions. Don't just blindly follow what the agent or the study abroad counselor is saying. Biggest problem. Most Indian students, because they're split, idhar jao. That's the biggest fault. Don't do that. Question them. Double, triple question them. Not everything they say is correct. Yeah. Trust me. So basically ask them pointed questions. Do your own research. Everyone in India is the fastest growing market for smartphones and data, but people spend time on Instagram and crap stuff rather than actually going and doing research on actual legitimate websites. Again, don't look at Instagram, it's crap. Don't look at TikTok, it's crap. Don't look at YouTube, which can be good if you're looking at the correct channels, but not every channel is talking right, just being honest.
Right.
So again, you have to have the cognitive ability to differentiate. Not everyone, as we started this podcast by saying that we're going to say the truth, we're not just going to make you happy. So a lot of the times people who say the truth, go and listen to them. So do your own research and look at the breakup. Okay, how many students from different nationalities, etc. Ask these key questions. Where do students end up after finishing up? Right. Not local students, international students, etc. Do a simple research on LinkedIn. You can do research of alumni groups. You can do research of people. Reddit has a lot of people working and anonymously guiding people, etc. You can do a lot of research yourself.
So basically, be informed, come prepared, and don't put yourself under that pressure.
Absolutely.
Well. And
so guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys, not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one-on-one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one-on-one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
The other big theme that I want to understand and look at it more, maybe statistically, if you have some numbers, should students prefer to come to London or the greater London area?
It depends on the degree. If you're doing finance, etc., London has the big jobs. No offense to any other city. Engineering is more spread out in the Midlands, etc., where you have the large factories. Startups are in Oxford, Cambridge, and London sector. There will be startups in other sectors as well. But yes, if you're looking at some remote place
I think of UK as like 4 hubs. There's London, then there is Birmingham, there is Manchester, and then there is Edinburgh, right? So going up to like Scotland, right? Now, do you think there is any specific preference from a location point of view?
It depends on what you're studying. So if you're studying
finance is London.
Is London mostly, or bigger cities.
Right.
Bigger cities or London. The second advantage of London, and I'll be extremely honest, and sorry for any of the listeners from my partner universities who are not from London, the biggest advantage of London and larger cities is you have a lot of networking events and opportunities. You have large corporates, you have London Tech Week, for example. A couple of weeks back, there was London Tech Week. One whole week of startups, investors, people from across the world coming in, talking on new technologies, raising money, how startups work, different sectors, mindsets, all of that kind of stuff. You don't have that exposure if you're not in London. You have to come and be there.
Right.
Correct. So that way, what you get in larger cities is more exposure to events and all of those kind of things. Now, if you're in a remote place where the travel to London is £200 and you don't have that money to come and spend, how are you going to do it? You can't come every day. You can't even come
Yeah.
once a month. So realistically speaking, it's the difference, right? The jobs are in Gurgaon, in the NCR sector, in Bombay, etc. But if you're in a small town in India, which is in between of nowhere, you will have to.
Studied from Roorkee, so
Exactly.
I mean, if I had to be kind in any of those kind of events, I'd had to come to Delhi.
Yeah.
Probably not even there. So,
Correct.
so you are saying larger cities is definitely helpful. So it's not just limited to London, but
Yeah.
the other larger cities also that I mentioned. Finance, you said London. Engineering, what would you suggest?
Midlands and London, because engineering is different types, right? You have data science as well, which is a part of engineering. Startups in London hiring, in a lot of other cities also hiring. In the Midlands also hiring, because data science can be used in both manufacturing as well as in tech. But if you're looking at automobile manufacturing, aerospace manufacturing, you'll have to look at where OEMs and larger companies are. So Airbus has a huge factory in near Bristol. So you'll have a lot of OEMs around that. Milton Keynes, where Cranfield University is, for example, they have their own airport. They have a lot of kind of, Red Bull's powertrains is there. Then you have Northampton, you have, Mercedes AMG, which sponsors international students for some of their roles. Again, they're based there because near Silverstone and this racetrack. Aston Martin's there as well. Bentley's in Wales as well. So again, Rolls-Royce is there, JLR is there, etc. So again, they spread out across the world, because when you look at a large company, it's not only one company, as you know, you'll have OEMs around it as well,
Right.
suppliers. So you have a lot of exposure. And then when you look at startup belt, it's Oxford, Cambridge, Maine, and London, which is where you have if statistically speaking, people raising money, etc. So it depends on where you're at, but final jobs to idhar hi milenge.
Right.
There will be jobs available in Manchester and Leeds, don't get me wrong, but there will be fewer compared to these.
So you would suggest that there's a stronger preference to the London and the area around London, so that you can more inexpensively travel to London.
Absolutely, but it's a double-edged sword in this. Let me be very honest. I'll tell you why. If you stay in a smaller city, for example, you have lesser distractions. There's lesser part-time jobs, lesser distractions, lesser partying, more focus on academia. It's a whole, a campus university vibe, which is amazing. So it's a double-edged sword. As a student, you have to see what suits you. I know a lot of students who make the most of that campus vibe, because you're so buried into the whole university infrastructure, professional services, societies, academics. You're acing that, and you're doing the right by the jobs. Then once you finish, you move.
Right.
Whereas I know a lot of students, and I can see that between Tripti and myself, because she studied in central London, I studied in Bristol. Bristol is more of a university city type.
Right.
In that sense, I was more focused on my academia, whereas she loved, the clubbing and all the kind of stuff. Sorry, Tripti, but it's the truth. It's fine now. It's 10, 15 years back. Your parents will be okay with it. But, the exposure is more where she was like, oh, you know what? We'll enjoy today and we'll think about it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's like, I'm not saying it wasn't. There was much lesser. So you have lesser options, right? That's the thing.
Large cities are preferred, more job opportunities, more part-time jobs, more exposure, more networking.
Yeah.
When you are now thinking of, now you have all this job data, right? Vacancies data. Which domains are the ones you feel the hottest?
Data science, AI, ML, hottest. It's literally, look at the jobs. Salary is also very, very good. And it's a skill shortage in this country. Do not forget, skill shortage in this country. Engineering is a skill shortage in the UK. And this is where you can get good jobs, highly paid jobs as well. But again, competition is very high. Last evening, a friend of mine has done data science, undergrad and masters, very good, from Southeast Asia. And basically, they were telling me how they're applying for jobs since the last 8 months and they've not gotten the right one. Obviously, they're applying for jobs that are extremely, extremely high paid and in larger companies, but the struggle is real.
Right.
They're getting through to the final stages, but not getting it for some reason, etc. But there are jobs available. That is also a very good thing, paying a good salary. So data science is such a skill shortage that people want. People can't find jobs.
But there is skill
people,
shortage. At the same time, people are not able to get the job. So
no, so the problem is that it's not, something or the other thing happens, right? English language skills, they might not have the exact technology learning that they have, for example. So there are reasons why people are not getting jobs.
So you're saying there's enough opportunity to go through.
100%.
What do you think about accounting as a career in the UK? I find that there are a lot of accounting job openings.
But how many of them will sponsor? That is the question. You do have companies who sponsor, Big Four also they sponsor, but not for all jobs in all locations.
Right.
So again, we're looking at if a lot of people make this mistake. So you will see a lot of jobs, but compare that to the number of job seekers. So the ratio is much lesser compared to something like a data science where there are a lot of jobs, but the number of job seekers also less. I've done management. As a part of my degree in management, I had to do certain courses which gave me a free pass to do an ACCA or a CIMA degree in an accelerated format, correct? So if I would give him some exams in 1 year, I could have become a CIMA professional or ACCA, say in 2 years. But I can't become a data science professional. I don't know AI because I've not done basics of engineering, you see. So the number of job seekers who can do certain data science and AI stuff is much lesser compared to students who can actually go into accounting. CFA में अभी भी कर सकता हूँ. That is the difference. So the number of job seekers is greater.
What is your take on studying marketing and jobs related to marketing?
So people are getting jobs. There are jobs available, but the number of people who are studying marketing, business, management. I've done management myself. It's jack of all, masters of none degree, which is fine, which is all okay. But again, a lot of students who are studying, international business, who are studying marketing, management, a lot of students come in and tell me, I want a job in business. Arey, what is a job in business? Business क्या होता है? There's no job in business. There's a job in accounting. There's a job in marketing. There's a job in operation. There's a job in sales. There's no job in business.
Right. So I think that's where we also find that, as I speak to so many students, that students who are doing these generic degrees end up in a lot of confusion because they don't really have a specialization.
And marketing is the easiest specialization.
Easiest specialization to take.
Yeah.
But I found students who are doing marketing analytics, some specialization in digital marketing, in communication, digital content creation. The students who are design management, those are some of the students who have been actually, because they have a certain deep specific skill, I found them to be more employable. Just purely looking at data on Indeed, we find that there are about 7,000 job postings, whereas for data science, there were around 7,000 postings for marketing, whereas around only 2,000 for data science.
So not everyone will post data science jobs on Indeed because Indeed is a very generic job spot. It's not for graduates. You get a barista, cleaner, all of that on Indeed. Data science you'll see on LinkedIn and specific job search platforms, for example. That's point number one. Point number two, when you look at, marketing, for example, I would say LinkedIn is a good generic thing, but not all of them will be graduate jobs. Not all of them will be graduate level. There'll be like a marketing coordinator, for example, or a marketing assistant, or a short-term marketing contract, for example, social media admin. Don't go with the Indeed data. That's my 2 cents for international students. Secondly, when it comes to your point of students who are doing specific degrees such as digital marketing analytics, for example, it goes back to the very first point that we made in the podcast today, which is, are you doing your research? Students who are taking degrees, or high proportion of students who are going for specific degrees like marketing analytics, are so switched on that they have gone to the study abroad counselor and said, I want to do only this degree. And this is the university I want to go to because they've done their research. This is what I want to do because this is what I want to work in. These are the type of companies I want to. The reason why these people will get jobs is because they've already done their research before studying abroad on what they want to do going forward. Most of the students who are doing generic degrees are just going with बाहर जाना है. Just मुझे भेजो. आप बताओ नहीं होगा फिर जो आप research नहीं करोगे तो नहीं होगा at the end of the day. So that is the problem. Look, I did management. I know it's a generic degree and you can, abuse me how much ever it is. But when I applied to study in the UK, I applied to 5 different universities for 5 different degrees.
Right.
One of which was environmental management. I love 2 of the degrees I applied for was environmental management. I got both and I got scholarships also in both universities. One was in extractive industries and one was an MA in environmental analysis. The reason why I chose management, I got marketing also in another university. But the reason why I chose management was the fact that after talking to my cousin who studied at LSE prior to this, and just having a discussion, was the fact that 10 years back, I'm not saying environment wasn't a big thing, it was a big thing, but the scope and everything. So when my cousin told me that, if you do a management, you will have more options. It's not that I didn't do my research.
Right.
I just went with something that I personally wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And that management degree is helping me in my business right now because then I've chosen to start my own business.
Right.
But if I'd done environmental management, it would be more different.
Absolutely.
So that was the rationale. But if I just gone and said, acha, management mein jao, then it would not be useful in anything, right?
No, I think that's very, very relevant and valuable. And
So, guys, let's take a small pause and let me tell you that I counsel hundreds of students looking to study abroad every month. And I am here to help you guys not just with understanding your profile, which country or university is the best one for you, but help you through the admission process. And me and my team will get you your visa on time. And if you want a one on one counseling session with me, please go into the description. There is a link to my Calendly and you can book a one on one slot with me. And let's get back to our video now.
as part of Student Circus,
Yes.
you are guiding through your platform thousands and tens of thousands of students.
200,000.
200,000
Yeah.
students. Now, what do you believe is like the most impactful part of Student Circus, which is like the most utilized feature on your platform?
There are multiple, but obviously the jobs board. Because on Student Circus, I'll tell you what we have. The biggest USP is that we have a jobs board that's specific to international students, where students can find internships, placements, and visa-sponsored graduate jobs from those employers that not only can hire you, but actually want to hire you. Now, that last sentence is the most important. Why? There are about 120,000 companies in the UK having a visa sponsorship license. A company needs to have a visa sponsorship license if it has to sponsor an employee's work visa. If you don't have a license, you can't sponsor. Currently, there are about 120,000 companies that have a visa sponsorship license. But when you dissect that list, you have a lot of restaurants, hospitality, churches, football clubs, cricket clubs, etc. You have a lot of companies that will have a license but may have ceased operations. You have a lot of companies that will have a license, may have taken it for hiring their CEO last year, but might not have any jobs. You might have a lot of companies that might have jobs, but not graduate level. And then you might have a lot of companies that might have jobs, might be graduate level, but might not pay a certain salary. And then you might have companies that might have a graduate job, that will have jobs, graduate level, pay a salary, but choose not to sponsor. So it's a world in itself, right? What we do at Student Circus is we only post roles from those companies that have a license, have a graduate job, pay a certain salary, and will be open to considering applications of international students who are selected. We can sponsor a work visa. So that is what we have. And the best part is it's absolutely free, FRE, for all students and alumni. We don't charge anything for anyone.
And this is, of course, authorized by the universities
across
so it is supported and kind of provided to the students officially from them. So I think that's also very important because that gives a lot of credibility and validation to the information being shared.
We have a visa information section called the Immigration Guide, where we partnered up with one of the largest law firms in the country called Pennington's Manchester Group. Now, the reason why we added that on is a lot of students only rely on the post-study work visa or the skilled worker visa. That's the only two visas that anyone will talk to you about. And even that, they don't know the details of those visas. So, it's all through hearsay or social media.
No, it's always important to know it from the real professionals.
Experts.
Yeah.
So if you go on social media, and I kid you not, a lot of the people talking of visas are not regulated by the government and are giving incorrect or outdated information.
Yes.
So as a student, if I'm seeing that and I take a decision based on that, remember, if you take a wrong decision that will breach a visa condition, you're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you need to go to a legal professional to get the right advice. Students don't have that money. So we've partnered with a law firm which can support students in that way. So we're giving them access not just to information about these two visas, but also other visa routes. As an Indian student, apart from the skilled worker and the graduate immigration route, which is called the post-study work visa, you have many other visa options you can consider. For example, Scale Up, India Young Professional Scheme. If you are a South Asian student, you have the Youth Mobility Scheme. You have the Innovator Founder Visa for entrepreneurs. You have the Global Talent Visa. There's so many visa options available that we're even providing information for that.
So I think it is about how do you manage your status in the UK. At the same
Absolutely.
time, of course, cutting the clutter out and providing the right kind
Authentic
of
information.
Authentic job opportunities.
One-stop shop for that. Plus, we have a lot of information and guidance through videos, worksheets, quizzes, blogs, news articles from experts. So careers consultants, employers, and successful international students who've gotten jobs in the UK, guiding current students with the UK job search market and how to go about them.
I think we've covered a lot of spectrum of questions around, what is working for the students, what is not working, the reasons behind it, London and outside, which kind of job opportunities. You've spoken about some of the few most popular job domains that we talk about, and also how Student Circus has been helping the student community. So I think it's been a really great day, Dhruv, and thanks for really spending this time for us and for all the students. We really want everyone to pay a visit to Student Circus, check them out, start using it even before you get to school.
It's free.
Familiarize. It's free. Even if it was paid, pay for it.
No, that's not paid.
But start doing that research early. If you're going to be in January, then start now. So there's never a later date. Better.
No, and just to end the podcast today, thank you so much. You know, you made the trip from India to London, and you're doing this hard work of talking to students, coming here, reaching out to us, talking to us. I think that just goes to showcase both Piyush yourself and Admit Card, the kind of foundation that you're building your company, your business on. I think you have your heart in the right place, which in an education industry is super important for all. You just taking that investment of time and money to kind of come here and talk to students just goes to showcase that, you know, students should make the right decision both whilst choosing the study abroad partner, the university, and, you know, jobs for support.
No, so fantastic. Thank you, everyone. I think if you've really learned something today, you've enjoyed our conversation, then do subscribe to our channel. And we look forward to sharing more such valuable information if you want to study abroad and make a career in anywhere around the world. So thank you so much, and see you in the next video.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So if you like this content, please subscribe to our channel, and I will see you all in the next video.